Well, good morning. You are watching the Couples Academy show, Ask the Experts, where we are here to answer your questions. My name is Roland, and I have Rod and I have Walter with us, sharing with us this morning. How are you gentlemen doing on this Good Friday?
Doing well, Roland's Good Friday.
Doing excellent, doing excellent. Glad to be here, especially as you mentioned this Good Friday and to be amongst great brethren as yourselves.
Absolutely, absolutely. Hey, listen, before we get started, we want you to like, share, and subscribe. Let everyone know that we are here and we're here to answer your questions to get started with your day, with your week, to help you overcome situations that you might be going through. That's why we're here. That's why we have this platform, and we want you to take full advantage of it. Hey, listen, you're watching Ask the Experts. Make sure you come in, ask your questions so that we can give you comprehensive answers. We have great practitioners on here, men serving you. And so that's what it's all about. So please let us know what questions you might have and what we can answer. I do have one question up. I'm going to have you to start out, Walter, and you follow up, Rod, if you would. We have a lost husband, 21. He says, how do I help repair the damages? My wife just spent 30 days in a mental treatment center due to the guilt, shame, and pain of her affairs. She had previous mental abuse from past relationships.
Yeah, the first thing that I want to do is I want to commend this brother for even having the heart to want to do his part in helping to restore and repair her and to repair the relationship. Oftentimes, when the person that is the betrayed, they can become very cold and heartless when it comes to their part in the process of that restoration. And so I want to start with commending him in that. And next, I think that there's a whole lot going on here. So there's a lot of different things, but the first is just as you're doing, showing care and concern for your wife as an individual. As a person, as you mentioned, she's apparently had some trauma and some challenges from previous and past relationships. And so as we like to share as practitioners, there's going to need to be some digging that takes place because these things precede your marriage and your relationship. So there are going to be some individual things that she's going to need to do. And that's actually combined with the second half of this is that there's going to be some individual work that you are going to have to lead out for yourself. We have to actually model often what that being healthy and whole looks like, and as an encouragement to our partner, and also too as a part of us leading out the work that needs to take place within ourselves. Obviously, there needs to be some forgiving, there needs to be some growing, there needs to be a reimagining and an envisioning of what your relationship looks like future forward, but also what that individual growth is going to look like. So again, I definitely commend you on wanting to do your part, but a major part of that is you leading out that individual work and leading by example.
I agree with you, Walter. I mean, first, like you said, just commend this brother for identifying and making the decision that he wants to help, that he has a role to play in the relationship with his wife, even though he is the betrayed. I just like your wife, you guys reached out to get her the mental help, mental treatment that she needed. You guys can reach out to Couples Academy to help with the relational piece because the two of you guys cannot do this alone. Like Walter said, there's a lot of things going on here, a lot of things historically that has to be dealt with individually. I'm sure on your part, on her part, as Danielle liked to call it, that family marinade. And then obviously there's the issues that led up to the marital issues because they're always there that led up to the infidelity on her part. And then, of course, now you got the recovery piece and the complexity of her mental situation along with the complexity of the infidelity recovery process, you guys are going to need some help and assistance with navigating through that whole process.
Absolutely. You both just pretty much summed it up. And I just would add just the fact that we have to have a level of empathy on both sides, especially the husband. You have to put yourself in her shoes, and make sure that you give a level of empathy, love, care, and concern that is overcompensating for where you all are right now, because she needs you. And likewise, you need her as well. But in order for it to really work, while the medical side of it is pretty much out of your hands, you want to support her in that treatment, but you also, to Rod's point and Walter, make sure that you get collective marital treatment for your marriage, because that's going to be key. And listen, because she went through something, because of the guilt and shame, that level of remorse, I commend her for, even having that, for what she has gone through or what she has put you through and the marriage through. So don't take that for granted. While it was an extreme medical issue, or extreme thing that forced her to have medical issues, we don't want to take lightly or for granted the fact that she felt it that much of what she did, to have gone through that, to that extreme. So I want to commend both you all, but I also want to encourage you strongly to get the help that you need, both medically and also maritally. Okay. I see he came back, and he said, I was lost because it happened during the death of my grandmother, which caused me to withhold affection, which I thought was protecting her. And so oftentimes we do what we think is the right thing to do in difficult situations. And the fact that it showed up during a time when you were already going through the loss of a loved one only heightens the response one way or the other. And so again, the compound complexity of the situation really is going to need some attention, some professional attention, some medical attention, and you need to get the help. This is not something you can do on your own. This is not something that's just going to go by, but you really need to let someone tap into everything that you're going through and everything that has happened to both of you all during this time. Do you guys want to follow up with anything?
Yeah, Roland, I wanted to chime in too, because I think that that last quote also speaks to something that we, especially as men, have to be very cognizant and aware of, is that when we are dealing with our own individual issues and trauma, when we're stressed, when we're walking through something, part of the perception or the mandate that we feel has been placed upon us, right, is that we have to be strong, and we have to hold the family together, and you got to man up. You got to deal with these things. Be strong for your family. You got to put on a tough face. And there is some truth to that, because there's a part of being resilient that absolutely is important. But our spouses are designed to be our, not just our accountability partner, but also our intimate partner. So there should be things that I should be able to share with my wife. There should be some emotional releases. There should be some concerns, some fears. There's this phrase everybody use now called a safe space. And as a spouse,
Mm-hmm.
that should be a safe space. It should be an opportunity where I can really have a conversation, share my heart, be vulnerable, be transparent without the threat of my manhood being on the line, without my masculinity being questioned. And so that quote really speaks to the importance of us as husbands leaning into and turning towards our spouse rather than turning away or just turning inward when we're under stress like that.
Walter,
Absolutely.
I was going to say that made me think about the book His Brain, Her Brain, where it talked about how men compartmentalize very easily, and that's exactly what you're talking about. Um, Again, not don't want to generalize, don't want to be absolute, but many times when men are going through pain and heartache, we compartmentalize especially if we're in a role of husband or leader of a family, or even a position at work. We compartmentalize that pain and that hurt, and we put on a different mask as we go through the other aspects of our life. But that pain and that hurt is still there, and until we address that, then we're going to be stuck. We're going to be limited to how we can show up for anybody else, and that becomes an issue in itself until we, to Walter's point, until we decide where our safe space is. Which, if it's in our marriage, you're absolutely right. I mean, our wife, if you're married, that should be the area of comfort, safe space, vulnerability zone, whatever you want to call it. That should be the one space that I can be my genuine self. I can be my complete self, and open up and share with my partner who is a part of me. So you're absolutely right, Walter. As men, we have to stop doing that and realizing that that limits us as far as how we show up, and limit whatever we touch, whether it's our marriage, whether it's our family, whether it's our community, whether it's our church, whatever you want to, whatever you are tied to, you're limiting yourself if you holding back.
Absolutely. There's a book by Michael Basin, Men Cry in the Dark. And that's another side that we as men have to be willing to tap into, the vulnerability and the transparency of our manhood. And it doesn't make us any less of a man to cry in the dark, or to have the feeling so strong for ourselves and for our spouses and for our marriage that we don't go the extra mile. So while we have to be the protector, while we have to be strong, we also have that side of us that is a real thing. It's a natural thing. And so we have to be able to tap into that as well. Hey, listen, you're watching the Couples Academy show, Ask the Experts, on this Good Friday. We're going to go to a quick commercial break, and we will be right back. Welcome back. Welcome back. You're watching the Couples Academy show, Ask the Experts. Listen, Last Chance Weekend is coming up soon. You still have time to get help for your marriage, the marriage that you want, the marriage that you need, a transformational experience for you and your spouse. Please call us, get signed up. We like to keep the group small, but we are growing. And so those people are calling in to get help. Gift yourself the investment of your marriage and doing better for your marriage. Okay. Hey, listen, we got two questions that came in. The first one says, I feel so much anger and rage towards my spouse. Will this ever end? Rod, can you take that one away?
Yeah, I would start out by understanding first why is the anger, why are you angry, and why is the rage going on. Um, and number one, I think a lot of times people want to dismiss a person's feelings or a right for a person to feel a certain way. So it's okay to have a feeling. It's okay to be upset. It's okay to be sad or lonely. Now, flip that though. Don't stay stuck there. That shouldn't dictate or determine your action that you're going to take. If you're upset and you have rage towards your spouse, then I would say first, you never have a conversation when you're in your feelings. As we say, don't talk about your feelings when you're in your feelings. Number two, when you calm down and understand why you upset or why you have this rage, then you're ready to have the conversation with your spouse. Have the conversation with your spouse. Be honest and open. Share your feelings, share your thoughts, share the why, and be prepared to listen. Give your spouse an opportunity to respond to your feelings, to what you've just said, and be open to that explanation. Because many times it's a miscommunication, it's a misunderstanding. I'm upset about something that I feel like, because in my mind I've already played it out, that my spouse is intentionally trying to hurt me or or they are against me. But once you
Mhm.
start having that dialogue, that conversation, you understand that that was not the intention, that was not the motivation. And you begin to talk it through and get to a better place and a learning place. Because now your spouse sees and has found out something about you that they know that triggers my husband, or that puts my wife in a different mindset.
Mhm. Absolutely. And one of the other things that we don't realize, we always talk about our words. Like if I say something, I can't take it back. But likewise with our actions as well, we have to consider when we go into rage, when we have these emotions that boil over and we do things, some things we can't take back. And we have to consider the fact that if I do something harmful, if I do something to hurt myself while I'm in rage, if I do something to hurt my spouse while I'm in rage, you can't take it back. So you can actually cause more damage by being in rage, because you have these emotions that have boiled over than you would if you just pause for a minute, is just stop for a minute, settle your spirit, settle your emotions, and then be able to go and have a conversation. So we have to think about everything, the totality of our actions when we're doing these things. So can you get over the emotions and being in rage? Absolutely. We just have to learn how to fall back sometimes. We have to learn how to press pause on where we are in that moment, so that way we don't do anything to cause damage or harm to ourselves or to our spouses, because once it happens, we can't take it away. Okay,
Yeah.
so I hope that helped. um that person. Walter, I have this question for you. It says, my husband cheated because I cheated early on in our relationship. He feels justified in his decision to cheat also. How can I get him to understand I am hurting as well and we both need help?
Yeah, so what we have is basically a retaliation infidelity or a retaliation affair. And what's important to remember in that is that the majority of those situations happen because the person is hurting. And so the premise of it is you hurt me, and so I want to hurt you back. So this is not necessarily about self-fulfillment on his part. This is about him trying to hurt and inflict the same pain upon you that he is currently feeling. And so understanding that is really important in setting the foundation for coming together and having a conversation about what do we need to do in order to move forward. So rather than arguing about who hurt who the most, which is really what it ends up getting into. It moves into this place of where you did it first, or you hurt me more, you had more partners than I did. So it becomes this contest, right? When it comes to the affair and the infidelity, when it should be about, look, this is why I did what I did, but this is what I want to have happen. This is how I want to move forward. I want you to be the one that I live my life with and grow old with. Now, how can we make that happen? And again, that's what Couples Academy is actually here for. Roland talked about Last Chance Weekend, and I tell you, it is an absolutely transformational experience. And part of the reason is because it is so comprehensive. And because we find ourselves in these situations, right, where you're dealing with this infidelity. But most of the time there are things that have happened along the way to get to that point. But if you look even further back than that, what was it that initially brought you together from the very beginning? Why did you get married?
Mhm.
Why did you all choose one another? So again, part of that is really going all the way back and thinking about those things and really sorting through so that you can come together and feel and really come to a consensus on the type of future that you want to build with your spouse. But you got to get out of this position of he hurt me, I hurt him, now he hurt me, and now it's this contest to see who hurt each other the most.
Yeah.
What you say, Rod?
No, I was just saying. I mean, Walter's 100, or I'm gonna change that. 1,000% correct.
100%.
I mean, it's
Absolutely, man. You hit it spot on.
yeah.
You absolutely hit it spot on, and it makes so much perfect sense. So now it becomes a competition of affair partners, or who had the most affairs and why. I cheated, you cheated, and we can use that same energy and not more, even more, to focus on one another, to build a stronger marriage, a stronger relationship, and stop letting the outside forces dictate our marriage and the direction that it goes in. So you hit it spot on, Walter. I had one more question to come in, and it says, my spouse affair partner works at his job. Every time he walks out the door, I feel anxiety. He says nothing is going on. I don't know what to do. How do we handle this situation?
That's a tough one, and I'm gonna tell you from experience with different clients. There have been situations where, again, the the marriage has to come first, and when that is factored in, there's been situations where clients have, spouses have had to change jobs, change careers. There's been times where they even had to change locations. So, from the standpoint of what's best for the marriage, that's the decision that has to be made. Now, I know some people are like, well, I'm on a good job, I make good money, I'm in control of myself. Regardless of that, if that spouse is sitting at home or sitting at her job, wondering what her husband is doing because of the affair partner working with her husband, that's going to create undue stress. That's going to create undue anxiety, even if you guys are talking about it, working through it, getting assistance on it. That's one of those triggers that has to be dealt with direct and in a hurry. quick, fast, and hairy, as they say.
Yeah. For those of us, I know that the three of us are brothers in Foundry. What I will say is compass number 3, uh, rule number 2,
Yeah.
rule number 2. And so, and for those of you who don't know what that is, what do you want? And so, and if you want your marriage, if you want your relationship, if you want your spouse, then the question becomes, are you willing to do whatever it takes to save and maintain your marriage? Are you willing to do whatever it takes to save and maintain your family? Are you willing to do everything that it takes to maintain and save your spouse? And only you can answer that question. And so, well, as Rob mentioned, that's a decision that you have to make. And so we're not telling you to quit your job.
Yeah.
But what we will say is that spouses are hard to find. You can get a job, you can get a new job, you can get a new house, you can move to a different place in space. But I tell you, in situations like this, it really challenges you to analyze and be critical of your priorities,
Yeah.
and to really refine your perspective. And as Rob mentioned, we've had a number of clients that have been in situations like that. We've had clients change states, change cities, change house, change churches because of what was needed in order to save and preserve their marriage and their families.
Hey, listen, the bottom line is sometimes you have to pack light and move swift. You have to get your stuff and you have to clock out and you have to make the right decision for your spouse and for your marriage. There is no job, there is no amount of money that should be able to put you in a position to keep your spouse in anxiety unnecessarily. And so, yes, you hit them all on the head, Walter, but sometimes, like myself, you might have to change your whole profession. And I was willing to do that to make sure that my wife had the peace, the reassurance, and she saw that my willingness to learn, my willingness to accept change, my willingness to put in time, money, and effort, gentlemen, was at a 10. And I did not have a problem doing that. And she knows it. And so for that matter, you might have to make some big adjustments. But I promise you, when you make that adjustments for yourself, when you make that adjustments for your family, you open up the world of possibilities of the favor that will be showered upon you because you made that decision. So I just want to encourage you to consider those things. We have another question that came in, gentlemen, and Darnell Thompson says, "How do I deal with agonizing guilt and depression from the mistakes that I've made?" We got 3 Foundry brothers on here. I'm gonna let one of y'all jump at it first, and that's gonna close us off. He says, "How do I deal with agonizing guilt and depression from mistakes that I've made?"
One phrase: own up to it. Look in the mirror, be truthful and honest to yourself, and then if you feel like you can't do it by yourself, Foundry.
What you
Mic
say,
drop.
Walter?
Mic drop. That's it. No, that's it. And the bottom line is, you may have done those things, but is that who you want to be? And part of the agonizing, right, is the realization that am I what these decisions are reflecting of me? Like, is this who I am? And to Rod's point, the answer may be yes, but you can't stay there. You can, but if you stay there, then you will continue to stay in that perpetual cycle of bad decisions, guilt, and also mistakes. But if you want to move and if you want to change, change is possible. You do not have to stay the same. The old man and old things can pass away, and you can move on and be somebody new.
Yeah.
Know that.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Foundry, foundry, foundry. Once we do that mirror assessment of ourselves and look at ourselves and know that we can do better, we want better, and we're going to go get better, that changes the whole game. And we can be the best version of ourselves if we choose to. So, hey, listen, you're watching the Couples Academy show, Ask the Experts, on this Good Friday. We hope you all have a great resurrection weekend. We love you, and we will see you next week.
Hey family, Hassani and Danielle here, and I want to tell you about the Phoenix Awards Gala happening on October 7th, 2023. Couples Academy is hosting its first annual Phoenix Awards Gala, a celebration of perseverance, patience, and persistence, focused on couples who have endured and overcome significant hardships in their marriages.
Nominees of this prestigious award will have come to the brink of destruction in their marriage without giving up, and are living a testimony to what is possible when two stand as one.
This is no ordinary gala. We are honoring 5 of the most resilient couples across the U.S. and abroad. And here's the most exciting part. You get to pick our nominees. And there's more. Wear your most exquisite gowns and black tie ensembles and prepare for a 50-foot red carpet, cocktail reception, dinner, live music, and dancing. We're going to raise the roof and the standard for marriages on October 7th, and we want you to be there.
For tickets, go to couplesacademy.org/events.